right, so next we have Matt Soltys with Canada's first participatory breeding program for a seminar.
And it's forwards and backwards.
Yes, and you can use that mic or this mic.
Okay, hello everyone, thank you. So my name is Matt Soltys. I come from Guelph, Ontario, and I'm going to talk a bit about this Pawpaw, participatory Pawpaw breeding program up in the Great White North. And I think after a lot of conversations with people here already, I'm also going to take on being a bit of like an ambassador for Canada and teach you a little bit about Pawpaw's range north of the border. I'm not really into Canadian nationalism, but there's a lot you don't know about what's going on just north of the border. So I'm going to get started. This is this classic range map of, I'll back up 1 second. Who am I anyways? In the region, in my own region, I've become a bit of a fruit tree professional. I run my own business called the Urban Orchardist. I have a consulting and pruning business, a little nursery, mixed fruit and nut trees, organize what was for a while Canada's only Pawpaw Fest. It's happening October 11th. Our 4th annual is coming up. And Pawpaws up in Canada are kind of like, what I've heard from some people here, they're still a little bit elusive, kind of mythical. A lot of people have heard about them, far fewer have actually tasted them. Anyways, and so, can I use that pointer of yours? Or never mind, actually, it wouldn't reach. No, it's okay. Well, sure. I don't think it's going to reach. I'm not that tall. Anyways, yeah, I'm not going to reach. But you can see where southwestern Ontario is, just across Lake Erie. Like, to get here, I drove 3 hours east to Detroit and about 5 hours south to here. So it's really not that far. And then, again, I'm kind of like an hour and a half north of Buffalo. Just in case you don't know, that section, north of Lake Erie, east of Lake Huron, west of Lake Ontario, it's a major population center with Toronto, Guelph, Kitchener, Hamilton, a lot of small cities and towns. And then east out of Ontario flows down St. Lawrence River towards Quebec, whereas Neil or someone mentioned there's a bit of a pawpaw craze there as well. Okay, so I'm actually in zone 6A, which is the same as I understand as England's orchard too. And I don't know, I kind of like to tell people from the States that my latitude is, even I'm further, I'm like 43.5 degrees, whereas like Portland, Oregon, for example, is 45.5. The USDA's pear and quince gene bank is like 44.5, I think. Anyway, so I'm not really that far north. And the growing zone is quite nice. Even if you look out to the far west, that reddish area of zone 7 and 8, that's Vancouver Island. They have their own like olive production out there, actually. There's like 100% Canadian grown olive oil, which I didn't know about till recently, but it is pretty cool. So there is a lot of pawpaw potential north of the border in Canada. Except we kind of have the genetic bottleneck due to the border. Someone was mentioned earlier too, like some Kentucky-derived or other southern states-derived or Midwestern-derived varieties kind of die back to the ground. So we are at the north edge of the range, and we do have to rely a lot on seedlings and kind of limited genetics. And just for comparison, this is the USDA's plant hardiness map for Canada. I'm in that little circle B. And I think this, as far as I understand, the USDA bases it on extreme winter minimums, whereas Canada bases it on 7 different variables, including maximum temperatures, rainfall, and so on, but they mostly match. I'm still zone 6A here. So this is just like some Canadian government publication. Just again, back to Pawpaw's range. There are like extant populations that are, and it's not really clear how they got there. There's nothing really certain, but possibly a combination of indigenous peoples and their orchard horticulture. There's even like a plaque or a sign somewhere in southwestern Ontario saying that these pawpaws in this area came from a soldier from Kentucky in 1813. So I don't know how they all got there, whether it's truly through animals, river flows, and whatnot, but there are pawpaws up there too. And my project is kind of working on really diversifying the genome and getting over this genetic bottleneck. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Just another little bit about Pawpaw's range in Canada. Again, this is just southwestern Ontario, not representative of the whole country. But again, this is just kind of fun. It's not really accurate because pawpaws are being grown in many people's yards and orchards, and these are just random findings on iNaturalist, but I think it's kind of cool to see. Yeah, and so just a bit more about pawpaw culture in Canada too. Like on Facebook, for example, which I don't really use myself, but there's like 3,000 or so, and on this, what is it now? Canada Pawpaw fans. Ontario Pawpaw Growers has almost 4,000 members. There's some small commercial orchards. Our friend Sean Spender on Peely Island is starting up a pawpaw orchard too. But you can really only find them like at kind of niche wild food store in Toronto, the occasional market, or some direct farm pickings, or your own yard, really. And that's kind of why, yeah, the Pawpaw Fest I've been organizing has been fun because it's a chance for some people to taste their first pawpaw. That's cool. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry, okay, fine. I don't need to go in. You guys know what a Pawpaw Fest is all about. We also have an apple tasting contest and fun fruit tasting, like medlar and quince and whatnot, but that's not the focus here. Most of the trees I come across I come across a lot of clients of mine who have, not a lot, but some mature pawpaw trees. They're kind of I'm not sure where the original seedlings came from the nurseries they bought them from, but they're kind of a bit more of a niche in the native plant nursery business. And generally the ones I find that are 15 or years older or more are kind of like this. They're just tall, and they have mixed fruit quality. And they probably were planted by kind of like native plant or naturalist kind of weirdos like us. And nowadays you can kind of find, the only real licensed supplier of Peterson's varieties are from Whistletree Nurseries, Canada's largest fruit tree nursery. So there are some nurseries carrying the licensed varieties, but mostly it's all seedlings. This is a sampling of that one tree's fruit I just showed you. I don't have anything to scale, but the top right, or the top left and the bottom right are kind of like a nice palm-sized fruit or so. Anyways, and these tasted pretty good. You know, it's kind of in its infancy in Canada, and as far as named varieties, you guys have all these lists of 100 or more cultivars, and I don't know anyone actually growing any of them pretty much, except like Sean and a couple of their friends. Like mostly they're just seedlings, and we're really happy with what we can get because they taste pretty darn good still. Okay, so back to this pawpaw breeding project. It's being developed with two key organizations. I have this slide up here from an event I organized last August, Scion Exchange, and an invitation to participate in this project. This is the Ecological Farmers Association of Ontario. They've been around since '79 or so. It's a farmer-led organization. They do trainings and workshops, farm tours, networking, skill sharing, and funding research projects. And then other key partner in the project is Seeds of Diversity, another amazing project. Has been around for 40 years. They've been supporting Seed Saturday seed exchanges for decades all across the country. And what they're most known for is this kind of diffuse gene bank across the country where people are basically keeping varieties alive in their own gardens or farms, and there's a whole directory that anyone can use. It's a free membership, and this is kind of the infrastructure we'll be using for our participatory pawpaw breeding project. So anyone who wants to sign up becomes a member, and you can submit your information into a database or a directory. And so basically, I have the apple here as a proxy for what the infrastructure kind of looks like. There's not many trees being shared on Seeds of Diversity yet, but as an example, I think this is a really cool program that I can kind of partly inherit. It's basically just a way you can log in, submit what you're sharing, and how to contact a person. And so basically, the purpose of the goal of the project is to basically develop a bit of a Canadian directory. So survey existing germplasm, and basically ask growers to submit data, if they're so willing, on how the trees are growing. Start actually fleshing out a directory in Canada for whose trees are not dying back to the ground, if it's a named variety, which ones are surviving just fine, and then other criteria like size, flesh to seed ratio, and then maybe that slide, I think it was Kirk or someone else, the much more detailed slide of the table of different variables we could look for that will come later. First of all, we just need to get more diversity that's worth growing. Next will be to identify breeding candidates from that selection, or from that data we're collecting. And then in my orchard and another orchard I'm starting, and anyone else who wants to participate, establish genetic repositories, simply for a home base for genetic diversity to breed from into the future. Eventually some crossbreeding trials, and then selecting top performers. And because it's a participatory project, it's mainly or primarily about sharing. Sharing germplasm, sharing results, and sharing skills. Because even something simple like grafting is still not a lot of folks know how to do that, especially those who want to grow pawpaws. I guess people in commercial fruit growing industries obviously can graft, but those people into pawpaw growing, there's still a lack of skills and also just a lack of information sharing. So we're basically getting a bit of a regional skill sharing and germplasm exploration project going on. And that's it. I'm pretty much humbled to be here because it's a new project. And I'm happy to be in your presence. And I'm here mostly to share what I'm up to, let you know a bit about what's happening that side of the border, and to make connections. So if you have any suggestions, questions, or ideas from other northern growers, I'm all ears. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is this mic on? Oh, now I'm on. Okay. Thank you. And I think so we'll save questions. You'll be around, so during kind of the networking time tonight, if you have any questions for anyone. And why don't we, so we can kind of catch up a little bit on time, instead of taking a full break, just kind of stand up where you are and stretch if you want to stretch. Obviously, if you need to go to the restroom or get a drink of water, go do so. But just, stand up and stretch. And then in 5 minutes, we will start with the nursery roundtable. So at 10 after 3, we'll start with that. And any of the nursery roundtable participants, if you could please go ahead and come up here in the next few minutes. Thank you.